Yo, welcome in, yo. I appreciate y'all clicking the video as always, man. Appreciate y'all. Listen, today we got something a little bit different from what we normally do on the channel, right? On the channel, we normally do like a reaction to like a new song or like a new basketball game or like somebody's live stream or a game or something, right? But today we're gonna be a little bit different. I got my brother here. He suggested a creepy pasta, right? I don't know. I didn't know what a creepypasta was until a couple seconds ago, but I had seen videos like this before, right? So if you're a creepypasta fan and would like to see us do this a little bit more, just let us know. Comment down below and all those good things so that we could bring these, a little bit more frequent to you guys. All right. Just want to say I appreciate you guys. You guys are running up the numbers as always. We are almost at 500 subscribers, right? We're still on the road to that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this. I'm gonna introduce you to my brother. So I'm gonna switch the screen. You're gonna be able to see him right there, and we're gonna go ahead and set it with the creepy pasta right away, yo. So, Bebo, say what's up.
Let's get it. Let's get it. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Let's get it.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
let's give him a backstory as to like how we chose this one, like why this one.
Uh, so we were going through a list of it, honestly. Uh, we had one with the cabin in the woods and whatnot, but
Yeah,
overall, I feel like there's a good connection with a lot of people having a big fear of the ocean.
yeah,
So creatures, being a big thing, and I believe that people only know like 5% of the ocean. So
yeah.
just to dive into more of that fear, why not induce it?
Yep.
I'm
So
down.
I'm a big guy of like the sea and things like that, and I like knowing about like those creepy octopuses and
Giant
squids,
squids.
yeah, all of that
Yeah,
stuff. So I'm
yeah.
into all of that. So
Cthulhu, I got you.
without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this. Yeah, we gon' So how you want to do this? You want to stop every once in a while? Just say like pause if you got something to say. If not, we just listen to the story throughout because it is 40 minutes,
Yeah,
and I don't want to
yeah,
hold nobody up too long.
yeah,
All
yeah. 100%.
right.
So, what exactly is this place called again? Theo looked around the passenger seat to shoot me a slightly annoyed gaze as the SUV drove up the empty two-lane road, jostling slightly as the truck hit a pothole. Dude, exactly how wasted were you last night? I told you the beach and the park have virtually the same name.
So real quick, I think I think they I this is AI, right? Reading this, it sounds like AI reading it.
I believe it's some form of AI for sure. It was written by a guy, obviously, right there suggested, but
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna
it's
be
like a
told.
generated voice.
I thought that it was gonna be told like a story, but it's being told like perspective from each character right now.
Birch Point Beach in Birch Point Beach State Park. Duh. I snorted back at my friend, smirking and flipping him the bird before returning to gently massaging my temples. For a few more moments, the world tilted slightly. Then it seemed to pass, allowing me to let out a small sigh of relief. I'm originally from New England, having been born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. When I had graduated high school, I had decided that I didn't want to spend my entire life living in the same area that I had been born in. And so, setting my wings, I set out to find a place that I could carve out as my own.
Yeah, I want to say this right here, the views of the water make me want to be there right now. Just in a little canoe or something like that. Nice little canoe. I think it'd be fire.
I like that they made it move too.
Uh huh. Nice
Like
little
this is
motion.
still a shot.
Eventually, I settled across the country in eastern Washington and started my own construction business.
Introducing Samra
Yeah,
Origins.
yeah.
Gotta get that ad in there.
Come on, yo.
I made good money and I also made plenty of new friends, but I couldn't help but miss home at times. I would go back during the holidays to spend them with my mother, but aside from that, I never really went back. Until I got a phone call from my old pal, Theo. Dude, you have seriously got to take a break from work and come stay with me in Vaughn for a week at his parents' old summer home in Owl's Head.
So we have Theo as the friend.
Mm-hmm.
Theo is the friend. Do we know the main character's name?
No. Man.
Nah, not yet. All right.
In any other situation, especially with clients breathing down me and my employees' necks, I would have declined. But the call came just after my girlfriend had told me that she was splitting from me. So, wanting some time to
Damn.
unwind and get away from it, along
Damn.
Well, with
Yeah.
the breakup.
She got dubbed, or he got dubbed. He got dubbed.
Yeah, he got dubbed. She was like, I don't want you no more, motherfucker. That's it. It's over between you and that.
with life in general,
That shit hurt.
I left my
See?
assistant in charge and boarded a plane for Maine the very next day. And now here I was, crumpled in the backseat of the 1986 Jeep Grand Wagoneer that Vaughn had inherited from his parents, heading for some place that I had never heard of before. The throbbing feeling returned, and I let out a soft groan before putting my head in my hands. You're 34 years old, Evan, and you just spent last night getting wasted to the gills at a rager like you're still in your early 20s. And to top it off, you're running on just like 5 hours of sleep. That, if you look it up in the dictionary, is the textbook definition of the word stupid.
So,
Okay.
I want to say, 5 hours of sleep, I functioned for a really long time. Like, I was surprised. Like, it's probably not healthy, but like going to work early morning and things, 5 hours of sleep
Yeah.
wasn't too bad. I did it.
I think I'm guilty of that too. I think I could go off 5 hours. I
Yeah,
feel
man.
like if you go in 8 hours, you're gonna be drowsy, you know.
Now 8 and 10, it feels amazing. Don't get me wrong.
If you could afford it, you know. Some people don't have that luxury. So
So he going to Maine.
yeah, he's traveling, bro, because he got to get escape from this heartbreak and all that shit.
Ah, all right.
It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It
You gotta
happens.
get away. Gotta get away.
Something hard gently bumped into the top of my head, and I looked up to see Theo holding out a bottle of Powerade. I took it gratefully, uncapping it and taking a swig. It looked like
Oh,
crap.
okay. Hold on.
A little alcoholic, just chugged it back, no problem. Didn't question it.
That little
Fuck it.
ASMR. What was it? What kind of juice was it? You ain't telling us.
Uncapping it and taking a swig.
Okay.
You look like crap warmed over, you know that, right? He asked, finally letting
Like
loose
crap
with a
warmed
smile of his
over.
own. The cold drink felt amazing going down my throat, driving away some of the dehydration that I felt and fueling my retort. Well, then I look just like I feel. Although, with the bags under your eyes, you won't need to make much of a Halloween costume this year to take your little sister trick-or-treating. Vaughn suddenly let out a loud bark of laughter from the driver's seat, causing
jokes.
both of us to jump slightly. Ouch. Dude, you just got burned as something spectacular, Theo. He looked away from the road long enough to shoot a grin at him. You're gonna need some aloe vera for that one. Theo rolled his eyes at the lame joke, but it caught me off guard enough that I began snickering. He was about to say something when Vaughn interrupted him.
This may be the
Yeah. Come on, man. Back into the story.
He was about to say something when Vaughn interrupted him. Hey, we're here. I pulled myself up slightly from the leather seat to stare out the windshield. He was right. Ahead of us lay a medium-sized parking area that stretched out in a rectangle. I noted with a slight interest that there were only one or two other cars here. As if sensing my gaze, Vaughn spoke again. Not many people come here this early in the morning. They're down in town having breakfast or they're still sleeping. I let out a grunt in reply as he pulled into an empty space and parked. For a few moments, the three of us simply sat in the truck, listening to the call of birds filtering in through the closed windows as the sky became lighter, hinting that dawn was just about to break. Then Theo spoke up. Well, let's hit it, gentlemen. And with that, he unbuckled his seatbelt, pushed open the door, and hopped out, slamming it shut behind him.
Okay.
I
So off rip, I like the sound
The
effects a
audio
lot.
cues, yeah, the audio cues are helping. So
Yeah,
put you in the setting, like in the setting.
for sure. And those are
Like,
clean audio cues. You think he recorded himself? He put it in, like he downloaded those sounds.
I feel like he edited that for sure.
Yep.
Because if not, it would have just been like a dude talking, and that would have
Okay.
been whack.
Okay.
So I like that for sure.
So we have two people so far: main character and Theo.
Three.
Three. Who the fuck's the third?
Yeah. Avon, Theo, and the main character. So Vaughn is the driver, Theo's the friend, and then the main character is somehow just there too, like sitting there.
Okay. I missed it,
Let
Yvonne.
out another soft
Oh,
groan
yeah,
as the
see, if you
sound
back it up, he said Avon opens the door after, like, or made him laugh or whatever. On Buckles opens the door. So they just parked at the beach. I'm assuming that's why we're looking at this wave here.
Okay.
But they just parked at this beach and they're about to, I'm assuming, go surfing as
Okay.
soon as the.
I hope they go fishing and catch some
sunrise.
shit.
I think
yo,
they're gonna
let's
go
do
like
yeah,
free
let's do
diving or
predictions.
something.
Yeah, let's do
I think they're gonna do
predictions.
free diving.
So you think free diving?
Yeah, I think they're gonna submerge in the water with no tanks, and they're gonna see some crazy shit
Okay.
happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with fishing. Like they're gonna go deep sea fishing and like something happens to the boat. That's what I'm gonna
Because
go
he
with.
ain't say nothing about a boat, and he just moved
You're right.
from a
You're right.
location.
You're right.
So,
Which means he wouldn't have shit.
I feel like he just needs to get his mind cleared, and the thing that he's gonna do is get his mind cleared in the
Go into
worst
the
possible
ocean.
place.
Okay,
you
good
know?
prediction. I like it.
But
an
that's
empty
just-
space in part. For a few moments, the three of us
W
simply sat
prediction.
in the truck,
Hey, look,
listening to the
three,
call of
three, see?
birds
Three of us.
filtering in through the closed windows as the sky became lighter, hinting that dawn was just about to break. Then Theo spoke up. "Well, let's hit it, gentlemen." And with that, he unbuckled his seatbelt, pushed open the door, and hopped out, slamming it shut behind him. I let out another soft groan as the sound reverberated in my head, making my ears begin to ring like I had a bad case of tinnitus. Vaughn looked around at me, a small
Tinnitus? Tinnitus?
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus. Okay. Tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus. I guess it just read it wrong.
look of concern on his face. "Sure you're okay, Evan?" I took a deep breath, blinking my eyes a few times before answering.
His name is
"Yeah,
Evan.
I think so. Just drank a little bit too much last night. My head feels like I just got off the old Tilt-A-Whirl at Kenobi Lake Park." He let out a soft chuckle. "Well, you kinda went a bit overboard last night, bro." His face turned back from amused to concerned. "I tell you what, when we get to the beach, you can crash on the towel for a bit. Sound copacetic." I nodded, feeling thankful that out of the two of my friends, Vaughn was the one who always had looked after us. He had since we had been kids. He reached over and patted me on the shoulder. "Hey, come on before Theo gets impatient and pissy." And together we pushed open our respective doors and stepped out. The cool breeze felt like a godsend against my brow, and I inhaled
fire.
deeply, smiling at the ocean breeze which invaded my nostrils. The smell of the ocean.
The
It
saltiness.
invigorated me a bit, and I strode around to the back of the Jeep.
I actually don't think the ocean smells that great. I think it smells like shit.
It's not.
like-
It's not. It's like a bunch of like shit from everywhere, bro. Like you don't want to smell that.
Now you got fire like waterfalls and lakes and shit like that. Those smell amazing, like that spring water.
Yeah, but that's a
what I'm
dime in a dozen, bro. That's like a rarity.
saying. Yeah, man.
You know, like you get lucky with that location or whatever, and then it gets exploited by people, and then they're gonna trash it. That's usually what human nature is like. So
Yo, there's a spot in fuck, where is it? Right here. Like 20 minutes away from me. They got like a little camping ground. We're planning on going over there. I think it's like next month if you're trying to pull up. It's really a little 2 days
Alright.
over the
Bet.
weekend. But they got a pool. They sell food there. You camp. I think it's pet friendly as well. You can bring your pets.
yeah.
And
I was gonna ask about that.
what
Yeah,
else?
I gotta ask about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of them allow that though.
Yeah. And then and then that's what made me think about it. It's has like a little waterfall lake area. Kind of cool behind it. I think that'd be nice.
Where Vaughn was lowering the tailgate to retrieve the bag of towels and water that he had tossed in earlier. After shutting the tailgate again and letting the rear window roll back up, he pulled the key out and motioned for us to follow him. For a few minutes, we walked in peaceful silence, the only sounds heard being the birds in the trees around us and the growing crash of waves against the shore. Then the trees parted, allowing us our first glimpse of the place that we had been brought to. Theo let out an awestruck laugh. "Holy crap, V, you've been holding out on us."
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep.
The beach looked nothing less than something that you would find in the front of a postcard, which you would send back home to make people jealous of your trip.
So it was a beautiful beach. It's safe to say, right? Clean waters. I'm assuming that's what he's trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, they went to like a nice isolated location, most likely.
Yeah.
A
Yo,
place that isn't
shout out,
disturbed by humans often.
shout out, shout out to the places in this world that got beautiful beaches because man, the way, oh man, diaper beaches is not it, y'all.
Yo,
Diaper.
when you are that lucky person to find a beach like that, just do everybody in the world a favor and just shut the fuck up and keep it to yourself. Like, don't share it with people.
Keep it clean, y'all, because man.
It
People
stretched
are
out to
fucking
either
dirty.
side of us in a sort of crest.
Guys,
After this, I'm gonna show you a video on I had just watched it. It's like the dude does survival stuff and he finds cool ass spots. And he found this one spot that I'm like, bro, I gotta go to that spot like that. So yeah, I'm gonna show it to you.
Into moon shape. The rocky ground giving way to sand that led to the water's edge. Vast swaths of pine and fir trees encircled the entire beach, looking very much like sentries guarding a hoard of treasure, and the smell of pine needles intermingled with the ocean spray. Seagulls cried from overhead, and I turned my gaze to look out to sea. The sun was just beginning to rise on the horizon, and the dark shapes of what I realized were the Muscle Ridge Islands were framed in its glow. I let out a soft laugh of my own. Dude, this is fantastic. How the heck isn't this place more known? Vaughn began walking towards the sand the two of us following along. It's always managed to fly just under the radar of most tourists. He called over his shoulder to me.
Oh, it
They
got
prefer
creepy.
going to the huge beaches down in York, and that means this place stays a small slice of paradise for the locals, like me. He dropped the tote bag on the sand, reaching in and pulling out 2 bottles of water, which he handed to us as another grin began to spread across his face. And for the next hour or two, we have the entire place to ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Theo let out a whoop at the news, one which made me wince slightly as it echoed in my head, but I couldn't help but give a grin of my own. Regardless of how you feel, this place is dope. A sudden burst of movement caused me to
it's
swing
just
my head around.
dope.
We got lingo out here, okay. Regardless of how you feel, this place is dope.
It's dope.
Okay, put that back one more time, y'all.
This place is dope. A sudden burst of movement caused me to swing my head around, just in time to see Theo begin sprinting for the water. The last one in's a plucked turkey, he shouted, pulling off his shirt and throwing it behind him. Vaughn shook his head and turned, giving me a slightly amused smile. I let out a snort of my own. Every fish and crab in the bay is gonna think that he's absolutely Jim Dandy when he hits the water and stirs up the bottom. I muttered, causing him to chuckle. Yeah, you ain't joking, man. I took another swig of water before dropping the bottle on the sand. Crossing my arms over my head, I began to wrestle my shirt off. Dude, I told you when we got here that you could crash on the towel for a little bit, I heard him say.
Ah, yeah, some sparkling water. We could actually watch that, but we're not gonna.
Freed myself from the shirt, I heard him say. I finally freed myself from the shirt, casting it to the sand next to the bottle. If I don't at least take a dip in along with you guys, I'll never hear the end of it from him. I hooked a thumb at the figure which was now beginning to splash around in the shallow water like he was a little kid again. I'll humor him with a few minutes of swimming, and then hop out and lay on the towel for a bit. Besides, swimming in the ocean's always helped clear my head. He looked like he wanted to argue again, being the older brother type, but instead nodded before pulling his shirt off as well. "I race you to the water then?" he asked me, and I nodded.
Your camera look a little dark. You're scaring me right now. Oh. No! Oh, there he is. Ah! It took him. Ah! So,
That's
you were right.
Yeah.
They went swimming.
to a beach. They went swimming. No tanks.
All right, no tanks. They just out there getting wet, skinny dipping.
No snorkels. Just free diving, which is just
S-
you and your lungs. The local, I forget. I believe it's Vaughn. I don't know if it's Avon or Vaughn. I didn't
Yeah.
hear clearly, but Vaughn, I believe, lives there, and he brought these two individuals to this location.
Yeah.
That is like remote, pretty much, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think some shit's about to go down with Vaughn being like someone who knows of the location but doesn't want to inform them of
Yeah,
how
let them
some
know.
shit might go
So
down.
Van might
Yeah,
be into it. Okay, like into the scene.
yeah.
So
But we'll see.
maybe, all right. So maybe it's like a sacrifice that
That's how they keep it nice and secluded, you know. That's how they keep it sacred.
yeah,
Apocalyptic type shit.
maybe it's like a sacrifice, or do you think like a sea monster comes from underneath and sucks
And
one of
rips
them up?
them up. Right? Yeah, that could be another one. I was thinking about the
Uh-huh.
sea monster show. I was like,
Alright.
maybe sacrificing one to the sea monster. You know.
Ah, okay. 2 for 1. Okay.
A second later, the two of us took off. The cool wind whipped in my ears, and I vaguely heard Theo egging us on. But my gaze was focused on the shoreline, pouring all the power that I could muster into my legs as I awkwardly ran in the sand. My head began to spin again, and I silently prayed that I wouldn't suddenly pass out and fall on my face. This is so freaking stupid, but there's no turning back now. And then I reached the water's edge. Even in the middle of summer, the Atlantic Ocean felt absolutely breathtaking in how chilly it was. Holy crap, it's cold. I involuntarily yelled out, but I kept going, running until the water reached my knees, where I launched myself forward. The cold water felt shocking as it completely enveloped me, and I couldn't help but shudder as my body slid through the water, my eyes pulled tightly shut to prevent the seawater from stinging them. My head breached the surface and I sputtered out as I heard a disappointed cry. Dang it, Evan. Even hungover, you can still kick my butt. I pushed the hair out of my eyes and turned back to find Vaughn standing in the waist-deep water grinning at me. I guess I still got it, was all that I said. Theo slapped me on the back, congratulating me, and then he turned and began swimming around, laughing as he would dive underwater and surface a few moments later. I shook my head as my feet touched the bottom and I stood up. Another wave of the hangover hit me hard and I closed my eyes for a moment to center myself. It was a bit hard to do with the water gently rising and falling around me in rhythm with the pounding in my head. You alright, man? I opened my eyes to see Vaughn gazing at me, even more concerned than he had been before. At this time, I didn't blame him. This truly
So he should probably get out the water, no?
Right now?
Yeah.
Depending on how far he is, yeah. I mean, in general, you're intoxicated. I wouldn't do it, but I've done it before, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I've done
completely
it.
open.
I've done it as well, but he said, with the
He's
pounding.
just going. He's just going with the motion too. It's like kind of like rocking him around, so it's not helping him right now either.
Yeah, maybe
On
he's
top of
feeling
that, he's drunk,
a
you
little,
know.
a
So,
little seasick, yeah, a little nauseous.
but no one's telling him to get out either, so fuck him either. Let him thug
it
it
was
out,
a
bro. He's
stupid
big guy.
idea. I swallowed before answering. No, I think so. I'm just gonna go wait around for a few minutes and then pop out on the towel and lay down for a bit.
I wish I had my angry eyebrows on.
Creepy, creepier.
And then gestured to the pair of legs now sticking out of the water. And go on, I'll keep an eye on this numbskull to make sure that he doesn't hurt himself. Nodding, I turned away and waded towards the left side of the beach, making sure to keep the point of my vision so I wouldn't accidentally wade out too far. The waves gently slapped my body, and as I drew further away from the hooting and hollering behind me, I began to feel a little bit better. Being in nature had always worked as a sort of natural healing salve for me, and this was no exception. I gazed down into the water, looking at the shimmering world that my legs walked through. A rather annoyed crab scuttled out of my way as I approached, raising its claws as if challenging me to a duel. I chuckled softly. Not today, buddy. I'm nowhere near in the mood.
He said a crab.
Yeah,
Listen,
he's trying to get him. He's trying to nab him.
I ain't messing with no crabs in the sea.
I'm hoping it's just a little tiny crab, but I could be fucking wrong, you know.
Yeah, 'cause I ain't messing with no crab in the sea. I hear crabs take
either way
fingers
they
off.
hurt.
So
Either way they hurt. It don't matter.
mm.
A few small fish darted about just ahead of me before streaking between my legs and out into deeper water. The distant crash of the waves on the rocky shoreline further out completed the idyllic, peaceful scene, and I felt my pounding head lessen slightly. That was when the feeling came over me. To this very day, I can't fully describe what it was. All I know is one moment I was feeling content. The next, it was like a lightning bolt had gone up my spine.
Bond.
The shiver that coursed through me was stronger and more noticeable than I had ever had before in my life, and it caused
Huh?
You think he got struck by a jellyfish?
You think so?
I think he did because he said some shit like shocked him like down his spine or whatever. I feel like that might be that or like a sea urchin or something, but he wasn't stepping on anything. He was swimming.
Maybe he got an eel stuck on his big toe.
caused me to freeze in place. My head snapped up and I looked around me. Aside from the gently lapping waves, nothing disturbed the water around me. I shot a gaze behind me. Vaughn and Theo were still at the other end of the beach, now engaged in some sort of diving competition. Neither one was paying attention to me. Then what the heck was that? I wondered. Another feeling washed over me, this time much easier to distinguish, though far less welcome. It was the feeling of being watched, being stared at. Having
And the okay, so
This nigga went to the worst place ever.
where is the other guy at? The guy that dropped them off?
They're both, all three of them are in the water, but he is a little further because he is hurt or like.
He said he got out, right?
He's like nauseous or what? No, he's still in the water. He actually went a little further in the water,
Okay.
but he's not deeper in the water. He's just looking more into a peaceful, more environment, but more isolated from the two. So he's
Oh,
probably like 50 feet away, and they're like kind of near the shore.
I
So
got
they're
it.
not getting any of this shit right now.
There's a
But he's
fucking
like, something's underneath me, and two things happened already. One, the crab, and then the fish. He said a fish went by him, and I'm like, you got that much activity from the water already? Like shit didn't
yeah,
go
nah.
away from you?
He got a merman. He got a merman watching him.
Yeah.
There's
He
a
got fucking barnacle boy over here, like on his fucking side or some shit.
had to dodge more than a few sketchy people every time that I had to travel to Seattle for meetings with clients, it was a feeling that I knew all too well. I had learned how to distinguish the difference between a pair of benevolent eyes watching me and those with, well, shall we say,
With Geico, we can easily buy.
that's actually a skill. Okay. I didn't know you can feel somebody watching you for real. Like sometimes I look at the direction of someone and they just so happen to be looking at me, but like I didn't feel that they were looking at me, you know?
malicious intentions in mind. This feeling was firmly in the latter category. My gaze suddenly swept up towards the tree line. I remembered seeing the two other cars in the parking lot, and my mind began to conjure up the image of someone standing just inside the tree line.
We dumb because he mentioned the cars twice now,
Uh-huh.
and my detective brain is detectiving. These two cars have probably been there because the niggas in them cars died already. Like they probably never came back.
Oh, okay.
So, and they're just there. But you wouldn't know that because when you go to these environments, you know, like if you go to a fucking park, like a natural land or whatever, and you want to
Yeah.
go hike, your car's just sitting there. But if you do get lost, your car's still just sitting there. But after like 48 hours or whatever, people are gonna be like, "Hey, this car's been here for too long."
So you think there's
That's
people
what
in
it
the
is.
car?
I think that people are dead in
Dead.
the water.
In the water, like they went
And
swimming
the
the same way.
and the cars are just there. And
Okay.
the cars are like your first thing, like,
I gotcha.
but you don't really notice it, you know. I
That's
think
a
that's
good
another
guess.
thing.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
My man, detective in.
watching us like a scene from a horror movie. But nobody
Yeah,
stood
put in the
staring at
dots.
us. Not that I could see, anyways. But still, the feeling persisted, almost seeming to grow in intensity a little. I gave
Yeah.
my head a shake. Get a grip, dude. Nobody's watching you. Nobody else is here.
My man
Wanting to
got
take my mind off of
got
it, I instead
superpowers.
turned and looked ahead of me down into the water. The light-colored sand and pebbles stretched away for another 15 or 20 feet. And then the bottom changed to a slightly darker color, looking a
Yeah,
little
he's
bit
walking
covered with muck
further.
and seaweed, indicating the slope which led out to deeper water. For a moment, I simply stared at it, my head slightly tilting to the side. Something was scratching at the back of my mind very faintly, but I couldn't understand what it was. Why does that look weird to me? Nausea suddenly slammed into me and the dizziness returned with a vengeance. I felt bile rise in my throat and I turned away from the spot, rushing to get out of the water. Emerging onto the beach, I raced up towards the trees, hearing Vaughn vaguely call my name, but I was focused on one thing only. I reached
out
the
of the
first
water
tree
now.
and I leaned against it, taking a single breath before vomiting onto the ground.
Ew.
For a minute, I just leaned against the tree and threw up. The pounding in my head sprang up and
Yo, just roll again?
He out of the water now, but like he threw up.
Yeah. No, I was asking you. I see you partaking in some activities. Did you roll again? Oh! Oh! Okay.
It's the same one. I just had it.
Oh,
Right
okay.
there.
Tucked on the side.
Yeah, I had it in the pocket, in the leg
Alright.
pocket.
I fought for breath against the sting of
I
my
ain't blunt
stomach
watching
acid in my
nothing.
mouth and throat. The world began to spin and I thought that I would faint where I stood. Dude, holy crap. I turned, seeing Theo and Vaughn standing next to me. Vaughn pulled me away from the tree and gently began guiding me back towards the tote bag. Come on, man, you need to lie down, he said. Reaching our stuff, he signaled for Theo to lay out one of the towels, and then slowly eased me down to sit on it. He picked up my shirt from the sand, shaking it off and handing it to me. Put this on and try to relax, he said, before looking up at Theo.
Like a good neighbor, stay.
Theo might be in it. See, Theo might know something that he don't know. He might be right with that too.
I'm thinking it was Vaughn. I really think it's Vaughn because he's a local, but
Going back
he's
in the
playing it. He's playing it along.
I
right?
mean, Vaughn,
Hmm.
sorry. Yeah, Theo's giving him the towel though, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
like I think Theo and Evan are Evan's the main character. I think those two are like the dudes that are not locals. And
Okay.
I think Vaughn
Vaughn
is
is the
one
local.
that's like, I
Okay.
got y'all.
Yeah.
But not really.
water, bro. Last night really did a number on him. I heard Theo let out a slightly disappointed sigh. Sure, whatever. He used to be able to hold his drink a lot better than this man. Well, that's because I gave up the party
Like
life and
me.
grew up unlike you. I thought, but I kept my mouth shut. Pulling my shirt over my head, I laid down on the towel so that I could look out at the dark water.
Well, good job giving up the life of V. You know what I'm saying? It's all
Where
good.
did it get you? Where did it get you? Right back here next to him, bro. Don't judge people. Don't judge people.
Vaughn
blame people
spoke
for your
again,
alcoholic
slightly
issues.
annoyed by our friend's tone. Look, he needs to rest.
Asshole.
You can go back in the water if you want, but keep an eye on him. Where the heck are you going? Theo asked. I'm gonna go take a quick hike up on the trails to cool off.
Oh, here he goes.
Especially after that little quip you made about our friend. I began to close my eyes. Sleep was calling my name, and she was insistent about it this time.
Uh-oh, he's about to wake up in
I
the
heard
middle of the
Vaughn
ocean.
walk away, muttering to himself. Theo appeared in the narrow band of my vision. He looked down at me, a slightly guilty expression on his face, and then he leaned down and patted my shoulder. I feel better, bro, he said softly. I grunted in reply as he turned to run back to the water. As I stared at the ocean, the feeling that I had had while waiting had returned to me, this time dulled by the encroaching sleep. For a moment, I realized that it almost felt like something had told me not to keep moving forward. But a new feeling poked its head out, one that I couldn't place, but it was just as quickly chased away. I heard Theo splashing, signaling that he had re-entered the water. My eyes closed. For a small time, I lay in a sort of half-awake, half-asleep state, listening to the sounds of the gulls overhead and the splashing of my friend in the water. The rising sun felt warm against my wet skin. There was suddenly a single splash louder than the others, almost pulling me back to the waking world. And then it was quiet and peaceful. A small smile crossed my face. The next thing I knew, I was being shaken awake. For a few moments, I attempted to resist as I had been in the middle of a very pleasant dream. But the shaking
Hey.
All right. So I'm glad you paused it because I was gonna ask you to pause it. So we got 3 people, and I'm not gonna lie. In an outdoor setting, people do not have situational awareness like that.
Mhm.
But you should have a visual alertness of motherfuckers going in water, and why the fuck is a motherfucker going on a hike by himself?
Yeah. So that's why I said, when I heard the whole hiking thing.
Yeah, John. I'm
Yes.
like, John would not do that. John wouldn't
Nah,
let me
fuck
do
that.
that.
Fuck
No
that.
one would fucking do that. And then no
Nope.
one would fucking do that if my eyes are closed and I'm like, I got this shit over my head. I'm drunk or some shit. I'm laying down. I'm sipping my fucking Corona. Like, I'm not gonna pay attention to shit. That's one, but I'm not gonna expect people to go and do all these other things,
Yeah.
Who the fuck is gonna be alert to that?
I think hiking was a bad idea. I think separating in situations like this is just a bad idea.
And I don't care if he's a local, like that doesn't
So-
give you points on, like just leaving motherfuckers, bro.
I think that's a recipe for disaster there. He just said something about having a pleasant dream. What do you think he was having a dream about?
Not being sick.
Pleasantly?
Being there, not being sick, but I don't know. I want to hear what he's gonna say, but I think the dude in the water died already in my head.
Damn. No.
Offering. He said he got woken up being shaken. Like, yo, get up, dude, get up. Where the fuck is Theo?
Yeah.
That's
So-
where I'm at right now.
Yo, this is a little bit off topic, but was kind of on topic though. There's this one time accidentally I was watching a short, and there was a story very similar to this, but the dude's voice was like very dramatic and like into the. And he was explaining a story about how they went into a cave, and their team, this and that, blah blah blah. They were exploring a cave, and he went, and when they went in there, they felt like they heard like a roar. And then there's like this big ass, giant ass monster, blah blah blah, and then like a rescue team came, etc. But that story was super interesting, and it made me want to watch another story like that of like big giant monsters inside of caves and things. So we gotta add that to the roster. As well as
You
all
should
the other-
watch the movie As Above, So Below. If you did, that's a good movie.
No, I've never
For
seen
this
it.
topic. That's a good movie for that topic. So if you like caves and shit, watch As Above, So Below. And then make that video with that mindset, like, oh, this is also another type of topic that could be part of caves and shit.
Okay.
Because it's for the catacombs, which is like the ancient burial sites under France and shit, or Italy, I think Italy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's Italy.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I was like, oof, it's bad.
We'll check it out.
Bad. I was like, oof. I like the movie.
Gamer.
The movie's good.
remained
Okay.
insistent, and I gradually became aware of a voice calling my name. Evan, wake up, man, please. I let out a grunt, signaling that I was awake as I rolled over onto my back. The voice came again. Come on, buddy, you need to wake up. I finally cracked my eyes open, jarring them shut against the blinding sun. I'm awake, I muttered, pulling myself into a sitting position. My head still throbbed, though not as much as it had before. Something was placed into my hand, and after a moment of feeling, I realized it was a pair of sunglasses. Flipping them open and sliding them on, I was finally able to open my eyes.
That be your friend.
Vaughn stood above me, looking around in almost a frantic motion. When he looked down at me, I snapped fully awake, as I caught sight of the expression adorning his face. He looked beyond worried. Dude, what is it? I asked. Did you happen to see Theo leave the beach? Or hear him say anything about going anywhere?
All the
His question made me rise to my feet on slightly shaky legs.
all
Okay.
the don't
So,
do that. Don't do that. That's why you have the swim buddies. That's why you have battle buddies. That's why you have thunder buddies.
but
You have
maybe
butt
Vaughn.
buddies.
So homie was sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
but
On the beach.
Vaughn came back and he gave him the glasses.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was OG, like OP.
That was appreciated, but maybe Vaughn has something to do with the disappearance of
I think
Theo.
Vaughn off rip just a shit
All right.
to me, but
I looked around. The beach, aside from the two of us, was completely deserted. Nobody played in the water and nobody moved in the woods behind us. The heck? No, I finally answered. No, I didn't. The last thing that I remember was him running back to the water after you took off. I heard him splashing around and then I fell asleep. Great, Vaughn muttered and then gestured down. Well, he couldn't have gone that far. He left his shirt and shoes here. He was right. Theo's Converses and t-shirt still lay where he had dropped them. My mind began to turn faster and faster. I looked at my friend. Could he have gone back to the Jeep for something? A look of relief suddenly flashed in his eyes. Come on, let's go quickly look.
you don't got
And
the
with
car
that,
keys.
he led the way back up the trail, walking slowly so that I could keep up. The dizziness hadn't fully gone away, but at least I felt confident that I wouldn't pass out now. I felt sure that we would round the corner and see our friend rifling through the truck for something. We did leave our phones in the Jeep anyways. But as we rounded the last bend and the parking lot came into view, that hope was torn from me like a fish in a shark's mouth. The Jeep sat silently where we had parked it. The door is still locked. Crap! Vaughn hissed as he stopped for a moment. A rustling sound suddenly came from the direction of one of the trailheads and we looked up, half expecting to see him. But instead a stranger walked out of the woods in hiking attire. He cast us a look as he walked to his car and got in, starting the engine and driving away.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's one
Vaughn
of the
cursed
cars.
again. Come on, we need to get back to the beach and try to find him.
So, well, that
So
place.
one of the cars was for the hiker. He's gone. Okay.
So there's
You still
still
have
another
another
car,
car.
right?
Yeah, there's still another car. Theo was the driver. No, I believe he was.
Yeah, I think it was a
He would
driver.
have the keys. So if he's lost with the keys or gone with the keys, they
That
are
car
pretty much
stays.
stuck there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're stuck there, and they have no phones because the phones are in the
in
car.
the car. Okay.
So that's bad. All right.
So the guy, how long do you think they've been there?
Like 4 hours, maybe. I'm not gonna say nothing crazy like more than that, but I think like 4 hours. I would say.
Went in,
Because
took a
if
nap.
not, I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
heard of this.
I would say
but,
4 hours. Yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
If it would be days, that'd be crazy. Because then the cars would give you a sign, like you would see things on the cars. You know, like shit building up on the cars, like grass or branches or like dust.
Yeah, and he is giving good detail as well. Okay.
Yeah, he's very vigilant. So I'm like very attentive to those details. And I'm like, I think it's only been the same day, so a couple
Oh.
hours.
So Theo is missing right now. He's probably
Yeah,
A wolf.
he just walked into the water and probably got swooped in or stuck in a current.
okay.
Walked, half ran to the beach and tried to find him. I agreed, and the two of us half walked, half ran back to the beach. The slight
Half walked,
annoyance
half
that I had
ran.
had towards
Copy.
Theo when I had woken up had now been replaced by a slight worry. The guy can be a complete jack at times, and he can also be a bit self-centered, but he's still my friend. We burst back out into the sunlight and looked around the empty beach. Nothing had changed since we left. Let's check the woods around the edge and the oceanside trails, and then we come back here. I said, offering a plan. He nodded and then looked at me. You get to check the right side on your own for a few minutes. I nodded and he patted my shoulder before taking off towards the left side of the beach. Turning towards the right, I did the same. for what my waterproof watch told me was 10 minutes, but felt more like an eternity. I walked through the trees and along the trails, calling out Theo's name. I could hear Vaughn doing the same. The faint sound of his call drifted across the mouth of the bay. Finally, I made my way to the beach, the worry intensifying from finding no sign of him. God, I hope he didn't do something monumentally dumb and hurt himself. Vaughn met me by the towels.
Even if he did,
I
he would
shook
make
my head as he
noise,
raised
bro.
his hands to me.
Right.
He let out a loud sigh as I stood next to him. I didn't find him either, he simply said, and then began rubbing the back of his neck, a trademark sign that he was beginning to stress out.
So at this point, I would search a couple times, and then I would think to go back to the Jeep and try to get the phones and make a phone
Break
call
the
to try
window.
to,
Break the fucking window.
like if I
That's
had
it.
to, break the
That's
window.
all you gotta
and
do.
then
You see a
go from
rock, you
there.
break the window, you call 911, search and rescue, and they will be there within the hour or two, maybe a couple
Yeah.
hours at most.
Okay.
The quicker you do that emergency call, the more you can go back to searching, but you don't want to start searching too much because then you're gonna probably be the next person that goes missing or then injures yourself.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is like he said he could be hurt. I'm like, if he could be hurt, you got to think if he's ambulatory or not, which it means like if he's able to move within his own will or not,
Yeah.
or do you have to fucking carry this guy? So those are two survival situations at that point where it's like if he is hurt, like head injury or completely dead or not. That's the two main ones that I'm like concerned about. But to me, I think the dude just walked into the water, like and
Yeah.
got
He
swooped
probably
in
got
or-
sucked in you too deep into like a
whatever
current or
whatever
something.
was watching this nigga earlier was like, ooh, I see this. I'm gonna say
Mhm.
like fucking blonde hair or blonde hair, blue eyes guy.
Yeah.
But then he saw that other Hispanic Theo guy. Was like, yeah, this guy.
And
I
sucked
like
them
this
up.
guy. And just
But
whoop.
the only thing I really know is the longer you wait to do those things, call for the help, etc., the longer chance you
It
have of losing
prolongs
that person.
preservation of life, which is
Yeah.
the thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because now you understand that the dude's missing. Like Vaughn did, and he came with shades too. Like the dude's so switched on. He gave the dude shades the moment he opened his eyes. I was like, all right,
Yep.
that guy's pretty nice. You said it too. You're like, yeah, that's pretty convenient.
Mhm.
Everybody needs a Vaughn, but then do you need a Vaughn? I don't know.
Let's see if they go get their phones.
Tell me again the last thing you remember seeing of him. He asked me, and I took a deep breath and spoke. Like I said, man, I remember him leaning over me after you had gone. He leaned down and told me to feel better, and then I heard him run back to the water. I heard him splashing around for a minute, and then I heard a loud splash, and then I trailed off as something began to connect in my mind. The jigsaw pieces came together quickly, and I felt a shiver shoot up my spine as the realization hit me. My heart began to beat hard in my chest, and I felt the blood begin to drain out of my face as a wave of dread surged into me. Oh crap. Vaughn had caught sight of my face, and he grabbed my shoulder to steady me. What, Evan? Then what? My eyes locked with his. I heard a loud splash and then nothing. Silence. My friend's face suddenly went as pale as mine must have looked as he realized what I was saying, and both of our gazes swung towards the water. The waves lapped gently on the shore and no sign of movement came from it. He finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Oh God. And then the two of us began running for the water, shouting Theo's name. Neither one of us bothered to pull off our shirts. We hit the water hard. I nearly tripped as a particularly large swell that smacked me in the knees, and I swung my gaze around seeing nothing. The mental image of my friend's drowned body hovering just above the sandy bottom flashed in my mind's eye for a moment, and I pushed it away as another wave of fear rolled into me. You gotta keep calm, man, you gotta stay calm. A hand fell on my shoulder and I turned.
Yeah, like I said, at this point, I would go get the phones.
Yeah. To me, it's so much time, but people are panicking and the adrenaline is kicking that you're gonna think, all right, can I go see if I find the body or some shit? Bro, if it really has been 1, 2, 3, or 4 hours, no matter the time, think about like 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet every fucking minute. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna get further or further. It's like a conveyor belt of water.
Yeah. Plus, I
It's
mean,
gonna,
a team of more
you know?
people, I think is better. You cover more ground. Yeah, you should make
Yeah,
that call right away,
it's
especially
just two
if you
guys.
feel
It's
this
just
way.
two guys. You
Yeah.
know, what are you gonna do? Every 50 feet? No,
Yeah.
you're gonna get tired, and it's gonna get dark soon. So
His face now set in steely determination. We've got to split up and search. He pointed to the farthest right side of the bay. You take that side and keep calling out to me every so often, whether you find him or not, and I'll do the same over here. I nodded, forcing myself to stay as calm as possible as I watched him turn away, lifting his arms out of the water as he began heading towards the other side. I gazed after him for another moment and then turned to begin moving in the opposite direction. My eyes, aided by the sunglasses that I still had on, stared down into the water, rapidly looking to the left and to the right, but I saw nothing but sand and rocks. "You find anything?" I heard Vaughn call out behind me. "Nothing yet." My eyes flickered towards the darker shade of the deeper water. He could have easily been pulled out to the sea by the tide. After all, you have no idea if there's a riptide in the bay. That thought scared me more than anything. I could
got stuck in
easily
one?
imagine Theo's corpse.
What was that?
it's not a. It's not a. You don't feel it. You don't think that you're in it because it feels like an infinity pool. I don't know if you've ever been in one. Rich people will relate to that. But like, it's a pool where it just continuously keeps you pretty much in the same area,
Mm-hmm.
and you just keep flapping, and you act like you're going distance, but you're in a stationary position. Pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
in the water.
yeah. I know what you mean.
And in the real world,
Yeah, I've never
that
been in it, but
motion
I've seen it. Mm-hmm.
is like you're
Yeah, I
going
mean,
far.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you ain't never gonna get out of it, really, right?
Yeah, no, it takes you out to the deep end, and then if you're already depending on the feet of the swell, like the waves hitting you, if it's like 10 feet or 20 feet waves hitting you
Mm-hmm.
repetitively, you're just gonna go underneath in the wash, the whitewash, and you're gonna not be able to breathe for a
It's
while.
crazy what creates things like that. It's almost like the ocean is hungry and it needs to eat something.
Yep.
It's
Also the
it's
the
crazy.
tectonic plates shifting, or just the natural earth moving also does that, or other things happening somewhere else in other parts of the region, and
Yeah.
then it's just reacting with like the PNS wave and moving through, so it
Yeah.
is very natural. It happens all the time. A lot of underwater volcanic activity happens,
Yeah.
so a lot of air entrapment happens.
Yeah.
Drifting in
Nature shit.
the dark,
Yeah,
like the
it's
body in
very
the
natural.
underwater scene from the TV show The Terror. I was beginning to chide myself again when I felt my foot
I'm still
collide with
thinking it's a
something.
creepy person, but
Something
whatever.
that half rose
I thought it was gonna be like a sea
Yeah,
creature.
I thought it was gonna be a fucking like kraken or something,
Yeah.
and it's not right now. This is
Nah, if this is
it,
not a
people
kraken, we gotta
unprepared.
find. We gotta after we next
Yeah, we
time we
gotta
gotta
get another
find
one.
a good
I still like this one
like a
though. I
big
still like
fish.
this one.
This is interesting, but we gotta find
Yeah,
like a big fish or something. But
yeah.
we'll get it.
I want some fucking shit that just
A
touched your
shark.
leg and you just like got swooped underneath the water, and you
Yep.
didn't know what the fuck to do. But alright,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. But
You go with a group of 20 and you blink and 10 are missing. It's like,
You're-
what the
you're
fuck?
You're the
What
sole
snatched them?
survivor.
What took them?
out of the bottom,
Why
picking up a
me?
large cloud of silt and sand. I could tell by the feeling of it against my foot that it wasn't anything natural. My breath quickened a bit and I forced myself to stoop down, my hand disappearing into the cloud as I felt around it. My chin was touching the water and I shot my eyes around as I felt my fingers close around it. The same odd feeling that I had had earlier returned.
Somebody's
I still
watching.
couldn't tell what it was, but with every fiber of my being on alert, it felt amplified and thoroughly unpleasant. I stood back up, pulling what I had uncovered out of the water. A small wave of confusion passed over me as I stared. watching the water drain out of it. What the heck? It was a man's shoe. One of these slip-on types that you would see people wearing while aboard yachts. It clearly had been sitting on the bottom for a long time. A slimy covering of muck and algae stuck to the top, and the color had begun fading. My gaze
Ooh, a
looked down
shit
into
mark?
the water to see if its twin lay on the bottom. There was nothing else there. Why didn't the person retrieve their shoe if they lost it? I shook my head suddenly.
it-
I needed to
could've
focus.
washed up.
Theo's life might depend on it.
Yeah.
So maybe that
It-
person also passed, then that's their shoe.
Yeah, like for me, I would do just like how he did. I would start thinking about all these theoretical theories, but then I would immediately revert back to like, yo, lock in my guy. This dude is dying, you know, or whatever. He might not be dying. Let's keep it like PG.
Yeah.
But like the shoe could have washed up from a fucking beach party too. You know, you never know where the fuck you're at. Like the shit could. They said they had other beaches up or down the coast somewhere. So and water always flows south. You know, so.
Yeah. So the whole shoe thing, I honestly think that extra car that was sitting there might be
Yeah, that's
from like that
guy.
person.
That's
You know
that
that
guy. So
had
we had
passed
the
or something.
one guy, because the one guy that was hiking, he never went in the water. You
Yeah.
know, he
Yeah.
went in the mountain.
Yep.
Vaughn went up the mountain, so
Yep.
he didn't die. So if Vaughn would have went in the water and Theo would have went in the water, they probably would have both died. But I think
Yeah.
it was just because the fact that Vaughn went in the water and car number one guy went in the water with the shoe here.
Yeah.
So I think those two people have been unfortunately
If he's even still
dead,
alive.
you know.
Vaughn called out again.
When emergency strikes, first
Hey, they're making their money with this video, I'll tell you that.
Hey, what'd you
Yeah,
find?
yeah, give me all that.
I turned to see him looking back at me. Nothing of his, just an old shoe. Keep looking. He nodded at me and turned back. I turned, giving the shoe a last look before letting it slip back below the waves. I watched it sink to the bottom and then I moved forward again. I had only gone another 15 feet when I heard a loud splash come from somewhere behind me. And then nothing. I called out, "Hey, did you find him?" No answer. "Hey Vaughn, did you find anything?" Still nothing. Another shiver suddenly rolled up my spine and I turned, beginning to call out again. "Dude, did you find..." Vaughn was gone.
Oh,
Okay.
that
So
gave.
this is a monster. Okay. So this has to be a monster that has tentacles or something of that nature. And it probably is a very large monster. I'm assuming like a giant squid.
Yeah.
The ability to be at the deep end of the water, but the tentacles are probably long enough to reach the shore, grab a motherfucker, make the splash, and then, you know, come back real quick. Because he can't do all that distance and come
It
back.
has
It's
to
not
be.
possible.
It has to be a kraken.
I think it's tentacles. If not, it's like a fucking like merman or some shit like fucking Namor. just killing
Alright,
people.
question. Do you run here? Or do you stay?
I would have immediately went to the car, bro. Unfortunately, I would have been with you, like in the car, like
The
you gotta get
call,
phones,
right?
you know?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I would have never did the search party unless I had more people. Like, cause what did I say would happen? You know, the moment you start doing this, you're gonna start either hurting or
Yeah,
getting
look.
lost.
Like you
Like,
said, Vaughn is
don't
now
split
missing.
up.
Yeah.
Don't split up. Don't ever split up in a party, bro. This happens every time. Don't split up.
For a moment, my brain short-circuited, trying to process what I was seeing. What the... I
For the
whispered,
first
"My
for the first time in the video, I got like chills throughout my body when he said
Yeah,
that.
I'm there. I'm like, I'm already. I got goosebumps. I was just like,
brain suddenly..."
That was a good
I
point.
couldn't be more
computer.
accurate, you know.
And I realized that he must have dived underwater for something. A heavy pit settled in my stomach as I realized that he might have found our friend, and I prepared myself to see him surface carrying Theo's body. But nobody broke the gently rolling swells.
He's very optimistic.
I looked at my watch, seeing that a minute had passed since he had disappeared.
Pause it real quick.
Vaughn?
I'm gonna say he's so optimistic that this nigga gives me the vibe that he's the antagonist in a story. Like he's the bad guy to me. He does not pay attention. He pays attention so well that he does not think the shit could just happen.
You think that
shit
the
is
twist
happening
at
in
the
front of
end?
him, is it's him doing it or him just like blindly blacking out and just allowing these things to occur and not knowing it or some shit. Like
You think
that's
maybe
what just gave me the
maybe
vibe.
maybe he's one with
The Kraken.
the Kraken.
yeah, he
Like that's
controls the bird.
his pal, and he like brings him the people to feed
Because he
him.
blacked out, he was like, oh, whatever. And then the shit took him or whatever.
Oh,
Then he over here minded his business. The shit took him too, you know? I'm like,
okay.
I don't know. I
We
don't know. He
switching
got
it up
fucked
now. We switching it up. Okay.
We got the last
I
guy.
called
I
out.
gotta blame him.
My voice seemed to echo off the trees and the bay itself, but nobody answered me. I called out again, Vaughn. And then I suddenly felt my heart begin to race again as a new wave of fear had surged into me. What happened to him? I began to move towards the left, keeping in line with where I had last seen him. The largest swell yet smacked into me, and I waited as fast as I could go. I suddenly imagined that there was a sharp drop-off, and that both of my friends had accidentally fallen into it, getting caught in a
Doesn't matter,
riptide
keep
which
it
pulled
float,
them out to
bro.
sea into the bottom. My heart was pounding like a drum in my chest, and I was close to hyperventilating. Finally, I reached where I swore he had been, and I looked around. I was standing in water up to my chest, and even with the shirt on, I was beginning to shiver. Nothing moved, and I saw no sign of my friend anywhere. And that was when something caught my eye beneath the waves. I turned, trying to distinguish what it was, but the swells had become a bit fiercer, distorting everything. I took a step forward, squinting my eyes.
Get closer. Get closer, buddy. Take a couple steps forward and get closer.
It's his buddy.
Elusively out of focus, though I could tell that it did not belong, looking much brighter than the surrounding sand. Another step forwards and it became a little clearer, though still unrecognizable. Another large swell smacked into me, and I took a third step forwards. That's when the same feeling that I had had earlier slammed into me like a Kenworth. The same lightning bolt shot up my spine and I froze. I realized that I had reached the same place that I had had it before as well. As much as I tried forcing myself to move forwards, it was as if some primitive part of my brain refused to allow my body to do so. Finally, I decided to quickly duck under the water to see what I had spotted. Leaving the sunglasses on, I took a deep breath and slipped beneath the waves. The salt water stung my eyes as I forced them open, the shapes distorted, but much easier to see than from above. I turned to look in the direction that I had.
So what the fuck would you mean? It was much easier to see them from above. It was that sunny?
Nah, I think he means like,
He got sunglasses.
cause yeah, he's wearing the shades regardless. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Cause it's
So
not
motherfucker
like,
dove underwater with sunglasses.
yeah, it's not like it's blocking the water from getting in your eyes, which is exactly what he said just happened. But I think
Man.
it's like when it settled, he was able to see what he looked at from outside the water. I
Flag,
guess a little
flag on the
better,
play,
because
guys.
it's not a thing because you're looking into salt water. Salt water is very grainy.
Flag on the
It's
play.
not a thing.
Flag on the play.
Had seeing it much clearer now.
5-year penalty.
What was
Go
that?
first down.
I allowed
Turnover.
myself to float a little closer. The object came into focus. I froze like a statue. For a moment, I wasn't able to move, my eyes locking onto it, my brain trying to comprehend what it was, and simultaneously trying to refuse. The feeling that I had felt again returned with a vengeance, along with a new emotion: horror. I shot up, my head breaking the water as I sputtered it from my mouth and felt my heart thunder in my chest. My eyes widened as I slowly began to back away, locking on to what I recognized now. It was a human leg.
Oh.
To be more specific, it was Vaughn's leg. The
Oh.
tattoo wrapped around the ankle was proof of that.
So just the leg?
It lay on the bottom, and from what I saw, it ended by the upper thigh. My eyes flashed around, looking frantically at the water around me. Fear like I had never felt before crashed into me in bigger and bigger waves. A shark. There's a shark in here, and it just killed both my friends. The thought spurred me to take another step backwards, As I did, the thought occurred to me to look for any pools of blood. The last thing that I wanted to do was accidentally step into one. I looked back at the leg, my eyes following up the calf to the knee to the... The leg moved. I froze again. What?
Get a taste of
Oh, oh, oh.
What we think? What we
Okay.
think? What we think?
Okay. It's a big ass fish
It's
that
a
lays
big,
down in the water,
and it
goes,
jumps up like a dolphin. Yeah.
goes, and it just eats them. I think.
Okay.
But that because like he said, there's no blood, or he's looking for blood, but he didn't see any blood. So I'm like, what kind of limb bleeds out? Or like he ripped it off.
So
and
maybe
left no blood.
nah, it gotta be like a vacuum fish. Then he like sucks them
Yeah,
up,
like like
and then like
just
just spits it out. Sucks out all the
that's
all the meat,
insane.
all the
That's
juice,
insane.
and
That's
spits the leg
insane.
out.
That's insane.
If it was an
You gotta be
involuntary twitch. The leg moved. I froze again. What? For a
Like-
moment I stared, wondering if it was an involuntary
touch it.
twitch. But then the leg began to thrash, kicking out hard almost frantically.
What?
There was no way that it would be able to do that unless it was still attached to the body. My eyes again moved up the leg towards the thigh, and I suddenly felt as if the wind had been knocked out of me. Vaughn's leg disappeared into the mucky bottom of the bay. As I stared, something began to take shape.
Bro, this guy gotta be on acid or
balls.
something because
He's tripping balls. Like
what did we
you're looking
take?
at sand, and the sand consumed your friend's
My,
body.
my man
Say it
said.
to the cop.
My man,
Say it to the cop.
my man said the leg disappeared. It right in front of me into the sand, turned into a different object. What? And it's
But then I
kicking.
got like this weird feeling in my back, and I stood
I
in the
froze.
water, did one run to get a phone, and
I
call
lost.
911.
I lost the air inside of me. The legs. What?
Like
Hold
that's
up.
why I said like his alertness is good, but his response to all his points are fucking horrible. Like he's not doing anything to me that's like survival quality. It's
He
just
said-
like he's along for the ride right now. That's all it is.
That man took a little strip under the tongue. He just chilling.
That's why his
Yeah,
head
a good
hurts, bro.
time.
He tripped too hard. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Tripped too hard.
He
That's
took a
it, dude.
trip over to Maine or wherever while tripping. You know what I mean? So.
Something that my eyes had
way
not
too
caught
hard.
before. And I felt a new wave of
Hold on.
something that my eyes had not caught before. And I felt a new wave of horror and dread hit me as I realized what I was seeing. A line in the muck, one that seemed about 3 or 4 feet across, one that I realized had teeth poking out from either side of it. Sharp, translucent, needle-like teeth. That wasn't the thing that made me want to scream though. 2 eyes stared out at me from just above it, ones that almost perfectly blended in with the bottom, if not for the black pupils that gazed coldly up at me. The line, the mouth opened slightly, and I felt a bit of suction almost pulling me off my feet. I watched, petrified, as Vaughn's leg, which for a split second I saw was still attached to him, was sucked inside. The foot giving one final pathetic kick as the mouth closed over
Final
it.
pathetic kick, yo, that's hard.
Oh.
That's fucked up, bro. Final pathetic kick. The nigga died. What do you want him to do? Like,
So
boost
he,
up?
he's not tripping. So you're right. It was is an animal at the bottom of the sea right now
Yeah.
with teeth, and
it's like
he's still attached and he's eating him, and he was kicking because he's still alive, or he was still alive inside
he
the.
didn't eat him all the way. He just ate him partially.
Yeah.
So he's still like half out of that fucking mouth of this giant
Whatever this is.
vertically set.
Okay,
fish
that's why it
out of the
disappeared. So
water.
he's not tripping,
Yeah,
guys. He's not tripping. He's not
horizontal.
tripping.
He's
He's
not
not tripping.
horizontal.
Okay,
he's,
okay.
he's vertically dug into the sand, pretty much.
Okay.
That's even worse. By
It
the way,
was a
and he said he
sight.
saw the eyes. So what is he standing on?
Yeah,
If he
but
can,
why?
like see
why-
the eyes and the mouth? Why is he just still there?
I don't know, bro. I'm out of there.
Like I would have never been there. I saw
I'm
the leg.
gonna
I'm
try to
outta
pull a leg, and yo, come on, we out. I'm gonna do my best.
that all these months
He's
later I
gonna get a
still
leg
see
and a thigh. You're not gonna get the arm in the head. Like I would have just left it. I would have been like, all right, that thing is there.
Oh man.
in my
But then
nightmares.
the fish would have saw you or felt you doing that, and he would have reacted to that too. I think that's why I would have never touched it.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
My body shook violently
This is
and
my
every
shit!
fiber of my being screamed
You
at
ain't
me to
fucking
get out of
with
the
me.
water. But I was literally
my
rooted to the
routine.
spot, frozen in terror. I felt like the character in a horror movie, the kind that you screamed at to move as the killer advanced on them and never moved. Something
Again,
to
you
my
just there for the
right caught
ride,
my
nigga.
eye, a small movement. I turned and for a moment I didn't understand what I was seeing. And then I was suddenly racing towards the beach, the water maddening me,
Theo.
slowing me. I felt a suction pull on my legs and a loud splash emanate from behind me, but I forced myself to fight it. The water became shallow, and as soon as it reached my knees, I began running. A strange sound suddenly reached my ears, and for a moment, my mind couldn't comprehend what it was, and then I realized. Screams. My screams. It's been almost 6 months since I tore from the water that morning. As soon as I was free of the waves, I sprinted for the parking lot, stopping only to snatch up the keys to Vaughn's Jeep. I had been delirious as I had crashed through the bushes. According to the hiker who had found me frantically trying to unlock the driver's door, that I had barely been able to speak. But when I babbled about my friends and the water, he called the cops. When they had come, I had calmed down just enough to be able to tell them what had happened.
Pause it.
They, of course, did.
Shout out to that hiker for doing the one thing everybody should fucking do. Have common sense. Call
Call the
the
cops?
niggas that are gonna deal with it. Just call, call them. You ain't got nothing. You don't even have a fucking shirt on, bro. Call the people that got shirts on that could deal with Galapagos, Gertie, and all that shit. And
Yeah. No, they could have definitely saved the bond. And
he
with
said,
that,
he
so.
said, I went straight over there. I fainted, and the guy saw me and called 911. What you should have fucking did when you had your boy alive, instead of thinking that you was G.I. Joe and fucking Fix It Felix or whatever.
Fix it, Felix. But yeah, I mean, Vaughn would have definitely still alive
Didn't
still.
believe me. They thought that I had had a mental
Now he's
break.
Fishwood.
They
Nice,
searched
Fishwood.
the beach and even bringing a diver in to check the bay,
They
but they
ain't
found
finding nothing.
No sign of Vaughn or Theo, and no monster buried in the sand and muck. Only depressions, which the diver noted looked a bit unnatural. The police chalked my friend's fates up to either drowning or a shark.
This is a professional underwater
It
undercover
moved.
thug.
It
Like,
moved.
he
It
knew what he
moved.
doing. He hitting
It
one
moved.
spot and he moving and grooving to the next one.
That's it.
That's
We
what it
sell
is.
in the corner, and we're not selling in this corner
That's
again.
it.
After
This
day.
corner's
That's
hot.
all.
The
That's
cops are
all.
coming. We out.
Shark
That's all.
attack.
The divers came. Who the fuck
Sherwin
was
Williams.
that?
Diver definitely come. He's like, shit. Whoop, whoop.
You got the cops diving.
He's
in
like,
your
oh no,
house.
oh no, I ain't
Fucking-
fucking with
we
them.
don't want that.
They got harpoons. I ain't fucking with them.
They got the big shit, bro. We don't have that shit.
But this is some real life stuff though. This like I could really see this being like a real
the way
real
they
thing.
described it and all the fucking audio and all that, the key. Well, I
Like-
loved it.
yeah. It was some real
It was
good
fun.
detail. It still got a little bit more though. Hold on.
It's surprisingly, it didn't even make the local paper. And when Theo's girlfriend arrived when the police had called her, they barely answered any of her questions. She was forced to go through the most basic procedures before being hurried out the door. And since Vaughn's parents had died 3 years ago, there was nobody that they could call for him. I can only assume that the people in charge of government in Owl's Head didn't want the idea of 2 people dying at their secluded paradise-like beach to stain the town's reputation. As for me, as soon as I was released, I flew straight back to Washington. I tried to get back to as normal a life as possible, but it's been impossible. When I need to report to my clients in Seattle, I now video call them instead of traveling there myself. I tried one time, but as soon as my eyes spied the massive ocean stretching out away from it, I began to shake so badly that I had to pull over. I can't stand to even see the ocean anymore. Heck, I can't even stand to be near a lake, not without being reduced to a screaming, blubbering mess. I know what it was. Growing up, I'd always gone to the Boston Aquarium during summer vacation with my mother. I had wanted to be a marine biologist for a time, and I begged her to take me to see all the creatures that I used to adore. And I remember staring into one particular tank, watching a monstrous-looking fish bury itself into the sand, waiting for prey to swim by so that it could leap up and grab them, before swallowing them whole. One that was only about 3 feet long, 5 times smaller than the horror that I saw that day. And looking to the plaque mounted on the wall beside the glass, seeing the name, Stargazer. I suffer nightmares every single time I fall asleep. Nightmares of seeing my friend being eaten alive, disappearing into that mouth one as wide as a dinner table. Nightmares of seeing those cold eyes gazing at me, eyeing me like a Thanksgiving turkey. And nightmares of turning to see the second one rising from the bottom, getting ready to strike at me. The few people that I tried to tell about what I saw that day, scientists and marine biologists, never believed me, saying that those fish could never grow to such sizes. And now I finally decided to post what happened that day here, in a place others tell of unbelievable and terrific things that nobody believes. I don't care if nobody believes me here either. I need to warn you. Warn as many people as I can. There are horrific things that prowl the ocean. Things that scientists haven't seen yet. Things that nobody has seen yet. Seen and lived to tell about anyways. Even if you don't believe me, please at least be wary when you go to the beach. Be vigilant when you wade into the water to have fun with your friends or family. Because it's not just the deep ocean that you should be afraid of.
That was good.
Okay.
Now, all right, that stargazer fish is insane. The image of that fish is crazy. When you step on it, it gives you the shock and poisonous feeling and makes you hallucinate and all that. But it's the toxin, obviously. So if he probably stepped on it and went to the beach to lay down, but that shit is insane.
There's a fish that transforms itself into living sand to ambush its prey with a lightning-fast strike. This is the northern stargazer, a master of disguise and a sneaky predator. They've got a flattened, speckled body with a giant head that looks permanently surprised. But that head serves a special purpose. Their eyes and mouth are located right on top of their head, perfectly positioned for spotting unsuspecting prey swimming by. And here's the coolest part. So that little pink lure dangling above its mouth, it's actually a modified fin that the stargazer wiggles to mimic a tasty worm and attract curious prey. Once a fish gets close enough, bam! It sucks it up with its powerful mouth in a blink of an eye.
Bro, you're losing a foot.
Yo. No,
You're
but
losing
he
a
said
foot.
he said it was 3 feet at average. But what he saw was 5 times that. So that's 15 feet of a fucking fish.
So, couple
sitting
things.
there, looking at you.
Couple things. First I want to say I'm surprised that he didn't
Die.
Nah, that the cops didn't interrogate him and blame him for any of that, because it's kind of weird, right, to go on a trip and then
like Soul Survivor type shit,
and then you come out kind of clean. And secondly, I just want to say that I do believe that there is things like that, not that big or what. I just know that there's things out there that are scary looking, and I'd be scared to go to. I'm scared as shit of the deep, but we still do silly things. We still dive in here and there, But listen, man, there's definitely some scary stuff out there, so just be careful.
That's insane.
Just be careful. That was a good one.
His leg. It was out of nowhere, bro. But I feel like that's real though, because it's a real fish now. Now we know it's a real fish. The possibility of it being that size, that depends on like where is it at, what type of fucking diet does it have, what type of
that diet is anything that crosses his path.
It's human too, He's
Yo,
had him in.
That thing
he's had
snapped
Theo.
quick too. Y'all better be careful. Watch out, big
Yeah,
toes out there.
It had like split-second reaction, bro.
Watch out, big toes, man. Bebo, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for this, and let's see if we do this again with any other one. Maybe some hot ones, maybe another one of these. Let's see. You know, he'll choose next time,
Whatever,
and
bro,
we'll take it from there. I appreciate y'all, man. As always, be sure to lend a helping hand. 2 hands are better than 1. 3 as always, going better than none. Stay safe out there. God bless every single last one of you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm out of here, my boys. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.